Namaste, greetings and blessings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. This is our Sunday message, and I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founder and spiritual director of this center. And I invite you to watch not only this Sunday message, but any of our archived messages. I invite you to join any classes or events that we have going on. I invite you to reach out and email if you have any questions. Questions about this community, questions about me, questions about what we do, or questions about this science of mind and spirit, liberation theology that we practice and teach. And if by chance you find yourself seeking beloved community with other like-minded beings, even if you already belong, are a member of another community, church, or center, you are more than free to have multiple affiliations wherever you are fed and find community. You are invited. And lastly, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share this or any other message or announcements with others in your circle. And with that, much appreciation, love, and blessings. Enjoy the message. Namaste and greetings. Are you ready to raise your voice? Are you ready to step into a deeper way of practicing this idea of nurturing, developing, maintaining healthy connections, healthy relationships? Are you ready? Well, ready or not, here we go. We can easily recall the necessary physical distancing that came with COVID. We had to be separate, had to have masks. We remember this very easily. Yet many people do not recognize or practice effective boundaries with the other pandemics that we face. Because there are others, and we're going to talk about it. We aimlessly move through our lives without knowing the importance of setting and practicing healthy and effective boundaries in all, say it again, in all areas of our life, from personal relationships to work environments, social interactions, and more. We must explore various strategies. We are invited to excavate and dig deep, find and establish strategies and methods for effectively communicating and maintaining life-affirming boundaries, not just boundaries, but life-affirming boundaries to protect, to reinforce, to revitalize our well-being, and to cultivate healthy, balanced, loving relationships. There are always boundaries, even in the wilderness. When we commit to getting closer, we're committing to eventually experiencing real face-to-face conflict. Whether it's over dinner, at work, or in a grocery line, in-person conflict is always hard, challenging, uncomfortable. And when it comes to family, it's even more difficult, it's harder, it's more painful. If your family is anything like mine, and we'll get to who's saying this, you've been required to summon love and decency in the face of emotions that range from minor frustration to sheer rage. Maintaining the courage to stand alone when necessary in the midst of family or community or angry strangers feels like an untamed wilderness. When I get to the point where I'm like, screw this, it's just too hard, I'm too lost, I hear the words of Maya Angelou, who said, the price is high, the reward is great. The price is high. I'm going to talk about what that means, but what is the price? Do you feel conflicts in your life? Or are you one of those people who is conflict averse? You avoid them at all costs. Brene Brown goes on to say, but here's a question that came up for me during my research, during this research. Where is the line? Is there a line in the wilderness between what behavior is tolerable and what behavior is not? The reward may be great, but do I have to put up with someone tearing me down or questioning my actual right to exist? Is there a line that shouldn't be crossed? The answer, without a doubt, is yes. Breathe. There is a line that we need not simply accept because that's what our principles are. Turn the other cheek. there is a line that says no. Participants who put true belonging into practice talked openly about their boundaries. In fact, this research confirmed what I found in my earlier work. The clearer and more respected the boundaries, the higher the level of empathy and compassion that we feel for others. Fewer clear boundaries, less openness. It's hard to stay kind-hearted when you feel people are taking advantage of you, mistreating you, abusing you, threatening you. It's hard to stay open-hearted. And this is why, is there a line that shouldn't be crossed? Without a doubt, yes. In the same way that, as I said, we remember when COVID happened and there was a line that we weren't supposed to cross. You're supposed to be 6 feet apart. Keep your distance to prevent the spread. We were very clear on that, and Tracy was triply clear. We understand that. Why do we not understand the exact same thing when it comes to being mistreated, when it comes to being talked down to or threatened? Now, as I mentioned earlier, COVID wasn't the only pandemic that we face or faced. First, what is a pandemic? A pandemic is defined as an epidemic occurring worldwide or over a very large, wide area, typically crossing international boundaries and usually affects a large number of people. Pandemic. Keep that in mind. All objective conditions and facts and experiences are in relationship to an invisible cause, which is creative mind. No condition, whether we think of it as positive, life-affirming, or negative, non-life-affirming, arises out of itself. It is always subject to its cause, consciousness. Evil has no power in itself. It is merely a negative, non-life-affirming way of using a life-affirming power. However, because all conditions have a sequence of cause and effect, as soon as any particular condition exists, it may continue to project lesser conditions around it. Pause. This is why we talk about things like self-fulfilling prophecies. When you set this in motion, it's going to continue in motion. What was Newton's law of it's in motion, it's not in motion, and you leave it? Once you put it in motion, same thing with consciousness. Once we put something in motion, it's like perennials. It's going to keep growing every year. It's going to come back again and again until a new cause comes into being. Dr. Holmes goes on to say, these secondary causes, however, are projections and never things in and of themselves. We become caught in a sequence of these non-life affirming conditions. We come to believe in them. We come to believe in them as life affirming within themselves or non-life affirming within themselves. And thus we are caught in a perpetual carousel trap. The way to escape from this trap, this dilemma, is to look through the condition to the primary or first cause where energy, intelligence, power exist without any limiting circumstances whatsoever. To do this would be to think in the absolute. If we want a condition to change it in consciousness. Whether that condition is experienced individually whether that condition is experienced within a family, within a community, within the collective consciousness of the planet. If you want the condition, the experience, racism to end, change, first cause, change that cause that creates it. Just like the pandemic. You want this virus, this thing, this whatever it is to be gone, you create a vaccine. You create the antidote. You create the thing that will cause this to be gone. And not just be gone, but to establish a boundary so that it is far less likely to impact or influence again. Are we doing that work? Are we examining consciousness to identify? Every time I try to go out on a date, I can't seem to, nobody wants to talk to me. That's the experience. There's a condition. There are symptoms that are being expressed. Am I willing to pause, go into consciousness and say, what are my beliefs about? Oh, I have a belief that says I'm too old and no longer attractive. I have a belief that says I'm too fat and so no one likes me. I have a belief that says, oh, they don't like Black men. Whatever. Okay. Now that I can identify, oh, there's this. Oh, and that. Oh, wow, I got a triple hitter. And that. I've identified the cause that is showing up as and through my mental equivalence. Then I can now change this, which changes the mental equivalence, which changes the conditions and the experiences. So, as I said before, there are many pandemics that we tend to be unaware of. And in many ways, we personally may be unaffected by them, but there are others who are affected by them. What are these other pandemics, Reverend Ray? Well, let's talk about it if you are ready. What about the pandemic of all of it? Addiction, whatever the addiction is, it's a pandemic. I may not be affected by opioid addiction, but many are. They are affected by the pandemic of addiction, the pandemic of being unhoused, the pandemic of all of the varieties of hate crimes that occur, all of the ways that people, it's a whole list, experience any of these. What is the cause of them? All of these things trace back to something in a mental equivalent of an individual or the mental equivalent of the collective consciousness. There's a first cause. There is a cause that is creating, that is showing up as all of these things on this list, all of it. And if we are going to establish, as we said, healthy and effective boundaries and connections that are nurturing and supportive and loving, then it's important for us to realize how these other pandemics are showing up and to ask ourselves, what is the spiritual vaccine that we are invited to create and administer to the world? Or do we keep doing the same old, expecting something to change? Boundaries can be used in a life affirming manner or a non life affirming manner. The question is, do we know which we are engaging in at any given moment? Have you ever heard someone refer to another person as being unfriendly, unwelcoming? Then it's because they have boundaries that are non-life affirming. They are shutting off themselves from the rest of the world for whatever reason, their cause, their consciousness, but it's showing up as, and what's going through my mind is, I hope nobody comes over here and asks me to dance. I hope everybody leaves me alone and stays away from me. How well can you discern? Are you established? Are you using boundaries that are life affirming? Or are your boundaries non life affirming? Dr. Holmes says, we should love ourselves so much that we cannot cause ourselves or others hurt, nor grief, nor sorrow, nor sadness. Because all of these things are foreign to that which is God, that which is the universe, spirit. And they do not belong to the reality of our being. They are experiences, yes. And in and of themselves, they are not necessarily bad or non life affirming. But if they are chronic hurt, trauma, chronic grief and sadness, then it now has become non life affirming. And it is not what is true of who and what we are. So, in terms of boundaries, what do they mean to you? And in terms of boundaries and communicating and connecting, what do they mean to you? Deborah Day says, evaluating the benefits and drawbacks of any relationship is your responsibility. What's your responsibility? Evaluating the benefits and the drawbacks of any relationship. That's your responsibility. Doesn't matter who doesn't matter. She said any relationship. What are the benefits? What are the drawbacks? You do not have to passively accept what is brought to you. You can choose. Do you know this? Do you know that you can choose? You have the ability to raise your voice, and it's a metaphorical voice, to say what it is you want. For example, I'm sure the people looking on at this guy who is currently being rude in the theater, they want to tell him, well, there's a couple of them already shushing him. Shh. And those who aren't shushing, their eyes are saying, if you don't cut that phone off. Now, what does this have to do with anything? You do not have to passively accept what is given to you. There are some who sit and they just sit and they stew and they stew and they're angry and you could say something. And if not something to him, you could get up and get an usher to have the usher come tell him, excuse me, sir, you either turn your phone off or you leave. You do not have to passively sit and accept what is given to you. You can choose. Beverly Engel says, note the guy in the previous slide. If someone is inconsiderate or rude to you, risk telling them how it made you feel or that you didn't appreciate being treated that way. Now, why is she saying risk? Because we never know how that person is going to respond to the feedback we are giving. And it's not about you made me mad because you were on the phone. I feel, this is what I feel, because they can't argue with the validity of what you feel or what you're thinking. You can't argue with what I'm feeling and thinking. I feel unheard and disrespected. I would appreciate if when we are in the theater, you would remain off of your phone so that we can have full attention to the show. Reverend Ray's in an opera this week. We paid good money to be on Broadway and see this show because you know he's singing something to the theme of the Brady Bunch, as usual. The risk of them getting angry, the risk of conflict. Are you willing to risk this? If you tend to talk to yourself, Try to talk yourself off the ledge, talk yourself down, talk yourself out of the anger by telling yourself that I don't want to make waves. I don't want to cause problems. I don't want to be seen as a troublemaker. So I'm going to pause, breathe. Try telling yourself instead that it is okay to make waves sometimes and to risk letting people know, to invest in your self care by letting people know how this, whatever it is, makes you feel. You do not have to passively accept what someone else brings to you. You can choose. You can raise your voice and speak up, make waves. As I always say, when you're putting your clothes in that thing, and even when it wasn't that thing and people use the washboard, it is the agitation that cleans the clothes. So making waves isn't necessarily a bad thing. Making waves is what gives the surfer the ability to ride the waves. Make some waves. So once again, boundaries. Are you someone who draws them in a way that you won't let anyone cross? How do you steward your power? How do you advocate for yourself before it's too late? So rather than cutting everyone off, self-protection, do you monitor and discern when and how some boundaries are flexible? A front door to your house. Not everybody can just walk in and walk out however they want to. They have to walk up to the door, ring the bell, or knock, and then you choose to open it or not to open it. That is your right. That is a boundary that is flexible, though. It can be opened for them to come in. Windows can be opened. But some boundaries, they're firm. I can't just get up and walk through this wall. I mean, I guess I could, but some boundaries cannot be crossed and aren't supposed to be crossed. Can you determine and discern, steward, which boundaries of yours are flexible? You can choose when and how and who to let in, and when and how to escort someone out. And some boundaries are firm. This house, by Tracy's choosing and mine, is a smoke-free, dry house. There is no smoking in this house. The only smoke you'll see is from incense. And dry, you will not find alcohol in this house. And that is a boundary that is set and unmovable, period. And we know this. And those who know us know this. How do you steward your boundaries, your power, your voice, your advocacy of self before it's too late? So the art of advocacy. Remember, we talked about this whole idea of the art of advocacy? Okay. Audre Lorde says, caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It's not selfish. It's not me being greedy. It is self-preservation. It is nurturing self, supporting self, refilling self. And it is an act of political warfare. Now, some time ago, I expressed in great depth what political warfare entailed or why she was saying this. But simply for this conversation, we will say it's political warfare because anytime women of color, trans women, period, transgender people, period, and more are being subjugated by women being subjugated by a patriarchal system. That's political. Politics is more than just one side of the aisle or the other, the red and the blue. We're not even talking about that. We're talking about the politics of, period. Those that make policies that say who can use which bathroom. That's political. Doesn't matter which color. So she's expressing that as a lesbian woman of color, she has experienced oppression, gender, racial, class. And so for her to take care of herself, for any of us to truly take care of ourselves, is political warfare. We are saying that this system, this experience, this condition, I will not abide by it. I value myself and those that I love far too much to abide by this. I will change the cause, and it starts with me changing it here. So I will care for myself. I will ensure that I am preserved. I am nurtured. I am refilled and revitalized and renewed. Because then I can do whatever the work is in the world. Lauren Martin offers us, setting a boundary means protecting your joy. Pause. Protecting your joy. Woo. I put the slides together, and this is just woo, protecting your joy. Because I remember a time where I let people rob me of my joy. No more. Okay, Lauren, setting a boundary means protecting your joy and well-being by telling someone to stop whatever the harmful behavior is. Practice setting a boundary. Try saying, I can't let you X, I need Y. Practice it. Even if only to yourself. Okay, I can't let you talk to me that way. I need respect. I can't let you insult me that way. I need respect. I need to be honored. I need to be recognized. I need to be seen. I need to be validated. I need you to listen to me and hear me. Practice it until it becomes second nature, till it flows. Because remember, a couple slides ago, she showed up and she said, how do you steward your power? How do you advocate for yourself? How do you do this before it's too late? Because without the boundary, oh, the many and vast requests that come, I need a favor. Well, if you were my friend, you would say yes. I want you to do something for me if you don't mind. I want, I need, give me, let me borrow, let me have. They will come. And many of us, I'm sure, that whole codependency stuff, I'm sure we have heard or witnessed some of these personally to ourselves. We may have been the one doing it. But how do you change this? You practice speaking up. No is a complete sentence. No. And being a complete sentence means you need not justify your no. Can you do me a favor? No. Versus, no, I'm busy that Saturday and I would love to, but no. No is a complete sentence. Can you do me a favor? No. What do you mean, no? No, I can't do you a favor. Why are you being so mean? How is that me being mean? Because I need you to do me a favor. I understand that. But you said no. Correct. No is a complete sentence. Practice it with me. No. Did you just say no, you're not going to practice it? Oh, you were repeating. I got you. Cheryl Richardson says, if you want to live an authentic, meaningful life, You need to master the art of disappointing and upsetting others, hurting their feelings, and living with the reality that some people just won't like you. Some people just won't like you. It may not be easy, but it's essential if you want your life to reflect your deepest desires, values, and needs. Are you willing to disappoint? No is a complete sentence, Reverend Ray said. I'm disappointed. I know. And I am willing to accept that you are upset that I will not lend you money, that you are upset that I will not watch the kids, that you are upset that I will not let you take my car, I understand. But in order for me to live an authentic and meaningful life, I cannot please everyone. It may not be easy, but it's essential if you want your life to reflect your deepest desires, your values, and your needs. So when all of the complaints and all of the insults and all of the things, the slings and arrows are coming your way, say no. You have the ability to stop them in their track. They do not have the ability to go beyond the boundary that you have set once it is set. Remember, some boundaries are flexible, others are not. You get to choose. Paulo Coelho says, if it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. Remember a while back, Brene Brown said of Maya Angelou about the price being high, but the reward being, right, it's worth it. It's balancing the cost of your peace of mind. What is in play, right? If you want your peace, allowing them to do any old thing, the cost is too high. Them disrespect, the cost is too high. Pleasing them just to get along, the cost is too high. So say no. Sometimes no is the most loving thing that we can do for ourselves and others. The reward of our peace of mind, the reward of our authenticity, the reward of our boundaries and true connection, that is a reward that is great and well worth it. But if we have to sacrifice that to make somebody else happy, it's too expensive. That may be hard to hear, but it's rooted in spiritual principle. You should not have to become less of for them to feel better. You should not have to subjugate yourself for them to feel better. To what degree are you willing to live free? Authentically free, empowered, and free. Dr. Holmes said, when Jesus said that we should not judge lest we be judged, he was stating the action of the law of cause and effect. If we wish a complete clearance from any sense of condemnation about ourselves, we must first be certain that we have released all condemnation of others from our own minds and hearts. When we do this, when we meet others in a new light and reaching back of all judgment and criticism, establish a relationship between the spirit that is within them, the spirit that is expressing as them, and the same spirit that is expressing within and as us. For God is one in, through, and as all people. Boundaries. Come to that space where you understand what it is that you desire to experience in your life, live by it, and meet other people based on that. So if you want your boundaries respected, respect others. And even if they aren't sure what their boundaries are, that does not give us free rein to say, well, the front door was open, so I'm going to go right on in. No, no. They left the car door open, so I'm going to go climb it. No, not everyone knows to close the door and lock it. Some people, their boundaries are so ethereal that it's like, where does the property line actually begin or end? Respect. Respect. Do not judge. It's easy to judge. It's easy to judge in terms of good and bad, right and wrong. It's easy to do that. Yes, yes, yes. And there's a time and a place for righteous judgment versus egoic, emotional, sensitive, non-life affirming judgment. There's a time and a place. Discernment is a form of judgment. Condemnation is a form of judgment. So it's about understanding that dress is ugly. Am I judging the dress, or is it like what makes it ugly? Oh, my perception of it makes it ugly. Then that is a judgment. I don't like the dress, but that doesn't mean it's, huh. So what is my invitation? She asked me, do I like the dress? I can simply say, it's not my style. I don't like it. But if you like it, you should get it. Just pause and think about the ways and the times that we judge. There are a lot of ways that we don't even know what we're looking for. Think of it like the image you see. The agents at the airport, do they know what they're looking for? Because as they're scanning and they're looking at x-rays and they're, patting people, do you know what you're looking for? Because you can't remove it or you can't create a boundary of it or for it if you don't know what you're looking for. What are we looking for? And even when it comes to, are we looking for greater peace? Are we looking for more love, self-nurturing, self-worth? Are we looking for God? What are we looking for as we go through our lives? Do we even know what we're looking for? Because it's easy to say, I want a world that works for all. Cool. Are you already looking for it? I don't know what it looks like. Then you can't effectively look for it. That's like telling someone to go Easter egg, on one of them Easter egg hunts, but I've never seen an Easter egg. I don't even know what an egg is. And you want me to go find it. So then I go and I grab, I don't know what an Easter egg is. So I grab rocks and they're like, why are you bringing me rocks? Well, I don't know what an Easter egg is. See that pink thing right there with the little squiggly? Yeah, that's an Easter egg. I mean, you tell me that in the first place. I didn't know what I was looking for. Do you know what you are looking for? As Bruce Lee demonstrated so masterfully in one of his films, he's instructing the young man, and the young man is looking at his finger. And Bruce Lee said, look at the moon. And the young man staring at his finger, to which Bruce Lee was like, sapop, popped him on top of his head and said, no, 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 no. It's like a finger pointing away to the moon. Do not concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all of that heavenly glory. You have to know what you're looking for in order to find it. Boundaries, what are you looking for? Self-appreciation, what are you looking for? Peace of mind, peace of heart, serenity, what are you looking for? What are the qualities that will tell you you're on the right track? Lorraine Nillan says, the more you value yourself, the healthier your boundaries are. The more you value yourself, the healthier your boundaries are. How much do you value yourself? Once again, in terms of boundaries. We understand that there is a time and a space to welcome folks in. There's a time and a space to tell people to wipe their feet. There's a time and a space to remove your shoes. There is a time and a space. But in the general scope of things, are we crafting and creating ourselves as safe space? Not just safe space in terms of our home or where we work or this cubicle is a safe space, but are we making the energy of us safe space? A healthy relationship is a feast of affection, giving for both people, not one receiving crumbs and trying to convince themselves it is enough. A feast. In order for there to be a feast, you have to be willing to say no. You have to know when enough is enough and stop. Ask yourself, where in your life are boundaries needed, healthy boundaries needed? What or who drains your energy? What or who nourishes your soul? When we fail to set boundaries and hold people accountable, we feel used and mistreated. This is why we sometimes attack who they are, which is far more hurtful than addressing the behavior in the first place. When we set healthy boundaries and hold people accountable, we will not feel used and mistreated because we are addressing the behavior up front versus letting it go and then getting to some space of resentment for how they are behaving. Healthy boundaries starts with what? How you take care of you, how you love and appreciate you. The Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 offers us an expanded way of embodying the following statement. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete freedom, emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. This points us to the discord that we experience via unhealthy, non-life affirming boundaries or the absence thereof. We reorient ourselves, embody and practice the love that Dr. Holmes mentions here when he says we should love ourselves so much that we cannot cause hurt, nor grief, nor sorrow or sadness, because all of these things are foreign to the spirit and they do not belong to the reality of our being. We love ourselves so much that we are a catalyst for healing the planet. Breathe. This week's declaration, our affirmation, I will say it first, and if it resonates with you, I invite you to say it with me the second time. I set and live by healthy boundaries that radiate with love and respect, fostering strong, safe, and supportive relationships. Together, I set and live by healthy boundaries that radiate with love and respect, fostering strong, safe, and supportive relationships. And so it is. This week's journal questions, Thursday night study group questions. What are my what are my physical, emotional, psychological, social, financial, and spiritual boundaries? Yes, there are boundaries in all of these. What are yours? Number two, when did I realize what healthy boundaries meant? And when did I start practicing them? Where am I invited to establish and or practice healthy boundaries now? How comfortable am I knowing when to say no? Number 4, what, where, who is a safe space for me? And what makes them safe? Number 5, what pandemic other than COVID have I or am I affected by? What can I do to heal/cure myself of that particular pandemic? And number 6, when have I or when do I currently pay the exorbitant price for my peace? In other words, when do I allow someone or something to rob me of my peace? How do I reclaim what is rightfully mine? Let us simply pray, knowing the truth of our being. Right here and right now, we are safe because that which is infinite safety, nothing can threaten the universe, nothing can threaten God, nothing can threaten spirit, nothing can make it less than what it is. And what is true of it is true of us. The truth of our being cannot be diminished or lessened. And even when we say, unless we give our permission, we can't even give our permission for that. In the same way that me personally, as a Black man, there is nothing that anyone could say to me that makes me less Black, as though somehow the words that they say make my skin become lighter and lighter until it is translucent and transparent. Nothing can do that. And in the same way, the truth of my being, the truth of knowing it is what is true of me is true of all who are here right now. Nothing can be done or said that can diminish the truth of who and what we are. Spirit incarnating, love made flesh. And so, right here and right now, I speak this word knowing that I get to change. Whatever cause I need to change, that changes the effect, that changes the experience, that changes the conditions. I steward my mental equivalent with such power and such precision that I am able to live my life authentically, lovingly, compassionately, powerfully. My relationships, all of them, even my relationships with people I don't even know, exude love and compassion, care and concern, so that I am able to stand as an advocate for people that I don't even know and say, this place needs to be wheelchair accessible. This place should have Braille as a menu option. I may not even know someone who needs this service, but because of how I steward my relationships, my boundaries, my truth, I am able to stand with and as a living embodiment of that truth. So I breathe with gratitude, knowing the truth regarding how I set myself free from all discord of every nature, how I give a full-bodied no when I need to and a full-bodied yes when I need to. I stand in my power. I raise my voice. I show up. And knowing that the law does what it does, I know that this word and this entire message is already reaping the harvest in my life and in the lives of those who are watching. Answered prayer, the demonstration of our declaration and affirmation is already showing up. New cause, new conditions. New cause, new experience. New cause, answered prayer. And so it is. And so it is. Namaste and blessings, everyone. As usual, see you sometime during the week. Well, I'm still off for the month of May, but somewhere I will see you, and we'll be back together in June. And regarding Pride events, if you're thinking about, we could do Pride DC, New York, Delaware, Philly. If you're interested, email Tracy, set up some kind of schedule, figure out what's what. Other than that, love and appreciate you. Blessings.